Hello, welcome to Comcast Newsmakers, bringing you news and information from people making a difference in our communities. I'm Beverly Weaver, and joining me now is Senate President Brandon Shaffer, representing Senate District 17. Welcome. Thanks for coming in again, Senator.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Let's begin with what your view of the last legislative session is. Really, you feel that it was a pretty fruitful session despite the hardships that you had with the budget and everything else. Tell me what you really feel the message to come out of that session was.
Sure. I think we were very productive, and I think the message is when you can put your politics aside and come together as Coloradans, Democrats and Republicans, focus on what's important for the entire state, you can get things done. I'd look at the para reform package that we passed. I'd look at the K through 12 reforms that we made. I'd look at higher education reforms that we made. We got a lot done in a very short period of time, and I think it's because we were able to work in a bipartisan way, put our politics aside and just say, you know, you want the best possible schools for your kids, and I want best possible schools for my kids. How do we get there?
Yeah. Do you feel that it was the hardship or the challenges that you faced as state lawmakers that really kind of brought you to that bipartisanship?
I'm certainly it had something to do with it, but at some point I think it also had to do with both Republican and Democrat leadership sitting down saying, look, we're going to have some disagreements. You know, there's some philosophical differences, whether it's in the way that we balance a budget or elsewhere. But there are also opportunities. We can look at some of the things around medical marijuana.
Sure.
That you know, we all said, look, this isn't a partisan issue. I mean, it's in our Constitution. We need to come up with some rules. What are the best rules? You know, it's not Democrat, Republican. It's just Coloradans trying to get the job done.
Right. And you did mention the K through 12 education. Obviously, the teacher tenure legislation got a lot of press towards the end of the session. How do you feel about how that came out, and obviously still work to be done on that?
I think it came out in the best way possible. It was a very collaborative process. I spent hours with Senator Johnston and others working through every detail in that bill. We did put about a 2 to 2.5 year fuse on it, where we have a commission that's going to meet to look at implementation, then they kick it to the Department of Education, and the Department of Education looks at rulemaking, and then 2.5 years down the road it comes back to the legislature for a final analysis and approval. So we're trying to make this as inclusive of a process as we possibly can as we move forward on an issue that frankly has been kicking around the legislature for a long time, trying to figure out, is there a better way? How can we ensure that we have the very best teachers and principals in our schools possible? Right,
not a new idea. In terms of challenges, Brandon, for the next session, obviously you still have some things on the table that are just going to have to be done again. The budget always has to be balanced. You know, we've still got the issue of jobs and job creation. Is that how you're looking into next session, looking ahead?
Absolutely, that's the lens. You know, I'm glad you mentioned in Colorado, we're not Washington, D.C., and I think people need to remember that. We have a requirement every year to balance our budget. We have absolutely no deficit in the state, which is something we're very proud of. But on a year-to-year basis, that can be a challenge when the economy declines and revenues decline along with it. So we have that challenge ahead of us. And creating jobs, stimulating the economy is our number one focus. I think that ties back into our education system, whether it's the higher education system or K through 12. So those will be the things we'll be working on in 2011.
Talk a little bit more about the higher education, the impact that we had, because certainly, you know, there's concern that some universities and colleges are just really, really struggling.
Right. We passed a higher education flexibility bill this year that gives them more flexibility in managing their funds, but also requires that they put more money into financial aid to ensure that it's affordable and accessible to the average Colorado citizen.
Okay, and where can people go to get more information?
My website is brandonshaffer.com, so www.brandonshaffer.com.
All right, very good. Senate President Brandon Shaffer, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Beverly Weaver.
Let me